if I have my tuba these days, people be able to know, oh, he can carry a bunch of groceries in one trip. It'll be.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
All right, well, welcome back to this episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast. I'm here with Shaun Crawford, and, well, our mic stands are not cooperating, folks, so you're going to hear some background noise, but we'll get through this. So, Shaun, thanks for taking the time to be with me. We've been, how long has it been? We've been trying to make this happen, like 3 months?
I think it's been longer than 3 months.
Yeah, probably. So I saw you. How did I see? Was it in Sale Times? They did an article about musicians playing in retail stores.
Not quite. It would have been more King 5 news.
Okay, that's right.
Shout out to the very lovely and very friendly Erica Zuka for reaching out to me. It was really funny too because it was like the start of a new program, and I had just started with the company myself, a company by the name of Gigs for You, and
Mr. Beeson.
Oh yeah, Mr. Beast is a very, very kind gentleman. I know he had him on his podcast recently. So, man, it's been fun ever since.
Okay, so we saw you on King 5. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about let's talk about that first. Mm-hmm. So they reached out to you, and what were they trying to do to kind of jumpstart retail back when we were coming out of the pandemic? Mm-hmm. And so they were hiring musicians to sit and play.
Yeah, just trying to like bring folks into the shop and try and drum up business a little bit, trying to help out musicians as well as a lot of the small businesses out here, which I thought was a very creative idea and a very fun idea as well. I had a good time doing so.
How many of those, I don't want to call them a show per se, but how many times did you do that?
I did it a lot. I can't even count on my hand how many times we did it in the last 2 months of the holiday season. I want to say like 30, 40 shows. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
So where were some of the places they had you playing?
I played at a place called Ola Wola in Columbia City. They do something called soul chains. So it's crystals and chains that are made for, bring out people's personal vibrations and everything. Love the owners of that shop. Another hair company that I played for up here, Queen Care, in the Columbia City area. Did a show with them, and that was always a lot of fun and resonated with me too because my mother back home, she also owned a beauty supply store and was one of the first of its kind back in the North Texas area. So it was fun kind of like reconnecting with that and trying to help bring folks in. And then there were also like a run of shows that we would go out to Westlake Park, playing music to people throughout the holidays, playing all the classic hits that people hear over and over again, especially if you were working retail at one of those places at the time, I apologize. People love Santa Baby, so I got to give the people what they want, and I hope they fall in love with something else this year so I can run that into the ground as well.
All right, so you mentioned North Texas. So when we talked before, you grew up North Texas. Mm-hmm. When did you move up here to Seattle?
I moved up here in 2018.
Why did you leave Texas for here?
I got really tired of 2 months straight of 100-degree weather.
Okay.
But seriously, I just felt like my needs were really being met, and it was kind of like I liken it to this. To the folks who follow basketball at all, the story of a person like Kevin Garnett, living in Minnesota, playing in Minnesota for damn near 12, 13 years, he had a lot of personal success, but, the team around him didn't really do much to warrant that. All this hard work didn't really, didn't have a lot to show for it. Makes the decision around 2008 to go to Boston. Within the first couple of years, he's an NBA champion. Something that, for myself, watching him growing up should have happened way sooner. So similar situation for me. I was busting my ass in Texas, and things did not pan out the way I would want to. So like, give you an idea of how it was. It was 2-hour bus rides with a guitar amplifier, my pedal board, and my guitar, just to get to practice, just to get to shows, because I didn't have a car until I was about 21. So, doing that for most of your young adult life, and what you have to show for it is 2 albums that you hate your own sound on, and a lot of resentment for the people that, they're, and it's not their fault. People have their priorities and life happens. But, you put a lot of energy into folks that you don't really talk to anymore. And it's like a St. Vincent song, I regret more the words I've bitten more than the ones I ever said. So whenever I started kind of like thinking about all the times I held back, and, I was like, man, I need to change or something. Plus 20 years being in the one place is destined to make anyone stir crazy and be like, I got to get out of here.
So you were saying you took 2-hour bus rides.
Mm-hmm.
What town did you grow up in?
So I grew up in Dallas originally.
In Dallas, okay.
But me and my family moved all around the North Texas area. So Addison, Garland, Plano. I went to high school in Plano.
Okay.
Even McKinney before it got really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen was, if I was staying somewhere in Dallas, public transportation wasn't terrible. But like, you go to somewhere like Plano, everyone there is driving. It's kind of like, think about I'll say Plano is a lot like.
Well, I've got friends in Plano.
Oh, so you probably know.
I know
a little bit about Plano.
The strangest thing I can say about Plano.
Yeah.
The best sushi I've ever had in my life was in Plano, Texas.
Are you talking about Sushi Shack?
I don't remember the name of it. A
Okay.
little hole in the wall.
I think we might be talking about the same place.
So a friend of mine owns an auto repair shop down there, off Jupiter Parkway.
Which Parkway?
Jupiter.
Ooh, yeah, we're talking about the same place.
Okay. So I used to go down there because I was part of a business marketing coaching group.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down there and we were staying overnight. He goes, well, why don't you go out to dinner with us? We're going to go have sushi. And I'm just like, Texas? You mean steak, right? And he's like, no, we're going for sushi. I'm like, I'm giving him that look like you're trying to sell me airport sushi or day old sushi from the gas station or something. Come on now. And it was amazing. And I'm not a sushi connoisseur. I'm not trying to, but it was phenomenal. But yeah, there's no easy way to get around in Plano.
No easy way at all. Like, I remember, and I'm going to tag the people who used to do this back in Texas, so I can tell you how I really feel. There would be people who would randomly pull up, seeing me walking in all black in 100-degree weather just to say hi. When really I was like, hey, why don't you give me a lift? But I also understand, I also had like a bunch of stuff on my back, so it probably wouldn't fit in the car. But if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, you should have just passed me by and told me that you saw me later on in the day, because I'm still very upset about that.
Yeah. Okay. So you moved. Well, why not Austin? I mean, because Austin. I've never been to Austin, but Austin, I've heard one or two things about it being kind of a music place. So I'm kidding. Lots of things about Austin.
A lot of things about Austin.
Why not Austin? Why Seattle? Not that we're. You're wearing a Sonics shirt now, which is, I don't know if I like it or really dislike it, because it just opened the wound.
Okay, so here's the thing. I like the Sonic stuff because it's like a tribute to the last time I liked Kevin Durant. And I know a lot of Sonics fans are going to come at me for that. Y'all have not been watching basketball the last 8 years. The man has turned into a menace. Just trust me on this one. It's a good thing that y'all didn't have to deal with that while he was up here. Okay?
All right. Okay. Still, it's an open wound, man.
I understand. Listen. If I lost the Mavericks to Oklahoma, I would be very pissed.
Well, just the way it went down.
Oh yeah,
just the way it went down. Yeah. Okay. So, when you were deciding to move from North Texas, was Seattle the only place you considered?
There were a lot of places I considered. I've got some family in Georgia, so Atlanta looked really attractive. I I have always dreamed of living in New York City at some point, and now I'm glad I didn't make that decision because I would definitely be under a bridge. Um, the reason why I picked Seattle over in Austin was definitely because I had been up here a lot on tour. Shout out to my boys in Thieves of Sunrise, Matthew, all of them. We have been there a lot, or been here a lot on tour, and I just fell in love with everything in the city, the food, some of the people I met up here. I remember our first show up here. I met the folks at Emerald City Guitars, who I did that interview with. I called them
on
up.
King 5.
Oh yeah, no, I actually almost did that this time around, but they're closed Sundays. I called them up. Was like, hey, Erica wants to come do this story. I really don't want them to come to my house because it is a wreck. And this is back when I'm living in White Center too, so it was going to be a trek. It's like, can we go do this episode at your place? And they're like, yeah, sure, come over. And I feel guilty sometimes too. I tell them that because I have not bought anything there in a while, but every time I pull up, it's always smiles, and they're, a big reason why I'm able to do what I do up here. So I'm very grateful for that shop. If you're ever in Pioneer Square, please go say hi to the family up there. Trevor, all them, kindest people in the world.
Okay. So you moved up to Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, before we go and unpack the Seattle piece, describe to my listeners your take of what your music is. How would you describe your musical style?
My music is at the intersection of shoegaze and soul. So I try to create soundscapes that are dreamy enough for yourself to get lost in, but rhythms that keep you rooted.
Okay.
So I'll try to put it this way. I want my music to sound like a daydream, but have some root in reality, so that way you don't get too carried away. It's a lot of optimism, but it's realistic optimism. That's what I feel like.
All right. Before we're gonna still have to go backwards. Mm-hmm. So when did you start playing guitar? Was that your first instrument?
No, my first instrument was actually the trombone, and then also the tuba.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could make a joke about it's hard to find girls with trombones and tubas, and guitars a little more.
You know what? I'll be honest. It's these days I think it would have served me better, because you see people playing trombone and you're like, wow, this guy has a great sense of humor.
Okay.
Because as soon as someone does something dumb, I'm hitting that on deck. And if I have my tuba these days, people will be able to know, oh, he can carry a bunch of groceries in one trip. It'll be He sweep me off my feet at any size I'm at. I know that's why my girl like me right now. She's very impressed by the fact that I just be carrying a bunch of stuff on my back, have her on my shoulder. She's like, I made the right choice. So fellas, if you're listening to this, go get in the gym, go get yourself a sousaphone. Forget all this guitar stuff. It's overrated. There's too many of us as there is.
All right. So trombone and tuba. When did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar around 14.
Okay.
My uncle and my grandfather and my mom got me onto a lot of music as a kid. And around that age, I was listening to a lot of Beatles, Rush, Led Zeppelin, Temptations, starting to figure out all the stuff that I kind of would essentially become my personality when I got older. But I remember my folks walked in with a First Act guitar, and it's been a journey ever since. I remember the first song I learned was Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and it's just pointy black guitar and this tiny blue Dan Electro amp that was powered by a 9-volt battery, and I've been a nuisance ever since.
That's awesome. Who was the first guitar player that you looked up to when you got your guitar? Who? I mean, you learned Paranoid, but who early on in your journey? Who was that? Was there a guitar player that was anointed above everybody else?
For me, it was definitely George Harrison, and it still is George Harrison. You see my two Gretches on there. You see the Vox AC30 over there. All I wanted to do as a child was become the second Black Beetle behind Billy Preston. George just had something about him that was super melodic but attainable. I remember, and people are gonna laugh, but I need y'all to go listen to this track. I remember hearing Octopus's Garden for the first time, and I was like, yeah, this is funny. A song about being underwater. We all love Ringo for his funny stuff. Some of his guitar work's kind of tasty. It had some kind of country licks in it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of dope. And then getting into his later work with his solo stuff, I just feel like his guitar work is very underrated in the eyes of a lot of guitar players, and it doesn't get enough love. We talk about Clapton, we talk about Hendrix, and as much as I love one, can't stand the other.
Wait. Good to put you on the spot. Which one do you love of the two?
Love Hendrix.
Okay, because you're in Seattle. You were going to get voted off.
I was not about. Listen, I'm smart. I did my PR work before I got here. No, and like full disclosure, it's not Clapton's fault. It's mainly his fans.
Okay.
You know how it is. Like you hear fan base prop up this thing for so long, and I know it's ironic for me to say this as a Beatles fan, and then you listen to it and it's like, it's okay. And then their fans are like, what do you mean it's okay? It's the greatest thing ever. And you're like, okay. Pause.
Yeah, well, all of our opinions are subjective. So, I do agree with you. Mm-hmm. But, because, all right, Harrison, that's actually really interesting. Because he is an underrated guitar player.
Right. And the fact that, like, I feel like, and this is me, we're going back to 13-year-old Shaun here. I know that they were young men and a rock band essentially given the world, and they might have made the best decisions. But something about George always struck me as he's the one I would hang out with. Paul would annoy me. Ringo, I feel like he and I would just goof off the whole time. John would definitely annoy me, but I feel like George and I would be besties.
Okay. All right. Did you see... what was that movie that just came out a little while ago? Was it Let It Be?
It was Get Back.
Get Back.
They were doing the.
So did you watch that?
Let It Be joints. I did not. I want to, because I keep seeing like little clips of it on YouTube, and it looks like a lot of fun. But I don't have that kind of time these days.
It was really interesting to me. The thing that I took away from it was that during that period of time, what they captured on film and what they shared with the audience. Did not make Paul McCartney look like a particularly nice human being, and the fact that Paul and Ringo both were involved in the movie, the fact that Paul actually, where I'm going with this is that Paul looked like a complete asshole. Excuse my language, listeners. But that Paul allowed that to be released made me think more of Paul McCartney.
Okay,
if that makes sense, because it's like he was not. I mean, Lennon was not right.
Right.
Lennon was messed up, but Paul was really not kind to George at all. And George just sat there and you could almost see him like shrinking into himself in the studio. And yeah, it was really weird to watch. And the other takeaway on that one was the first time they're playing Let It Be, which you and I both know is one of the major hits of the last 100 years. And they don't know what it is. And they're playing it. And Paul's singing it kind of very tentatively. And it was really kind of weird to watch.
Right. It's like, we all know it as a hit, but like, that's why I like things like that. And I wish more folks were a little more open about the songwriting process, because it's hard. You put something together and you're not sure if you like it. You're not sure if people are going to like it. It's essentially being... especially in that environment, I would assume it's probably like being naked in front of people. It's very vulnerable. It's very stressing too. I wouldn't want to put up with that.
Right. Right.
And I do, but it's still like, and I can't imagine. It's like, hey, I have this idea, and it's, a lot of times it's how you pitch the idea too. So I got to see that clip, because I would love to see like how that grew to be the song that we know nowadays.
Well, let me ask you this. So early on you were Harrison and still a Harrison fan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's flash forward to 2022, present day. Are there any guitar players out there right now that you're like, I really like what they're doing, like some element of what they're doing?
Yeah, and folks, get out your pen and paper because I'm about to put all y'all on to a lot of folks that I enjoy, not just locally, but also in general. So first one I got to give a big shout out to is Jimmy James of the True Loves and of the DL3 band, the Delvon Lamar trio, right? This man is one of the most tasteful guitar players I've ever come across. On top of that, the brother's funny and is very kind. I remember that's surprisingly one of the first folk that I talked to, even throughout the pandemic. You know, we'd be sitting up talking for like 2 hours every now and again. And I'm like, bro, don't you got to get ready to go overseas soon? Like, why are you talking to me? I ain't nobody. But he's very genuine and very kind. Dope guitar player. Let's go with a homer. This is from Austin. Jackie Finson. She does a lot of solo work by herself, plays with the trio down there, has been tearing it up in that scene for a while now. She's been doing a lot of work all over the United States. She's amazing. Let's try another folk up here from Seattle. Oh man, I'm blanking. Here's the issue. I know a lot of people that I really enjoy listening to, and I try and steal things from every now and again. Rafael Tranquilo. I'm gonna butcher his last name, but Rafael. He plays a lot in the Everett scene. Plays a lot in like the Washington scene in general.
Mm-hmm.
Very fantastic blues player. Love hearing him play slide. He is impressive for me, not just as a guitar player, but also as a showman. Like, his sincerity comes through in a lot of his showmanship. He's very kind as well. This isn't a homer. This is a homegirl that just moved to LA, Celeste. She's been doing a lot of work with Brandy Carlisle recently.
Okay.
Opening up shows for her. Has done some stuff on SNL as well. Just a knockdown, powerful guitar player, and she can sing.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. No one not related to anyone. Tommy Emmanuel.
Okay.
Tommy Emmanuel is a gentleman from the land down under, kind of the same school as like a Mark Knopfler and I would say Chet Atkins, you know, in a way that like their finger style playing is very unique to them. And you should hear his version of Lady Madonna. It's actually really fun, where he plays essentially all the parts to Lady Madonna, Day Tripper, and another Beatles song, but he's just playing it all on guitar. Very fantastic player. And again, someone that like you hear him talk in interviews and you're like, you know, I could see myself getting lunch with him. He's very kind.
Okay. I'm going to mess up the structure of this episode just from what I normally do, because we're sitting here and I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guitars. All right, 8 guitars sitting here within arm's reach of me. They're all out of tune, by the way, just by my proximity. They're all out of tune now. You can only take one guitar with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The rest of your life, you got to play one guitar. What's it going to be?
For my collection or just in general?
Well, let's go with your collection first.
All right. So in my collection, it'll be my orange Gretsch that is in my case right now.
Okay.
In that battered case. I've had that guitar since high school.
Okay.
I've played it in every situation. I've lusted after a guitar like that for a long time. Like my top 3 guitar players I feel like influence what I do would be Dwayne Eddy, plays an orange Gretsch. Brian Setzer also plays an orange Gretsch. And Chet Atkins used to famously play an orange Gretsch.
Okay.
Right? Those are like 3 of my players. I said, like, I want to be a combination of them. So whenever, it's not the same model as them, but it's just like it embodies everything that I enjoy. Like, there's a little bit of twang in it. It's hollow body, so I can play good jazz with it. The Bigsby helps with a lot of like things I try to be innovative with, like, bends. Since it's a hollow body, it feeds back. So like, I feel like energy wise, it's just like I am. It's like big and silent, and you don't see a lot of them out. Like, every time I take it out, the last 8 years I've had it, people just like, man, that's such a pretty guitar. And, it's just been everywhere and back with me. I am a little disappointed that I can't take it with me on this one trip, but that's my baby.
So the okay, now you can go buy a guitar. I mean, we're not trying to discount this one, but you can buy a guitar. Now remember, it's going to be the only guitar you can ever play again.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard because every instrument's unique.
It's not hard.
Oh, it's not hard.
It's not hard at all.
Okay.
It's a Gretsch White Falcon. So it's everything that I love about that guitar. White and gold.
Oh.
It looks like a Cadillac, actually.
A friend of mine plays one.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he never lets it out of his sight.
That is my desert island guitar. The moment I own a White Falcon is the moment I know I will have made it as an adult, as a man.
That's an adulting thing.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. And I remember I told my parents about it when I was growing up. And they're like, bro, how are you going to have a guitar that's more expensive than the car you drive? I'm like,
Priorities,
yeah. Priorities. No, and like I remember the first time I played one, even as a kid, I was like 15. And thankfully at that time I was already taller than everyone at the Guitar Center. So they couldn't be like, don't touch it. No, I remember I went up and grabbed that some gun and started playing on it. I was like, wow, this is a really, really fantastic guitar. It had all the tones I liked in it. It was beautiful. It looked like a big old Cadillac from the 50s.
It does look like a Cadillac. Yeah, that's a great description of it.
You know what? That might be my grandfather's influence on me because he used to drive a Cadillac that was black and had some gold trimming on it. So
okay,
that's the goal one day is like White Falcon, AC30 amp, and I'm happy for the rest of my days.
Okay, all right. Yeah, normally I would ask questions like that near the end, but we'll just throw them in the middle. We still haven't talked about anything about Washington State in this episode, which is maybe now the longest time that I've avoided the state of Washington on the Exploring Washington State podcast. So you moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody here? I mean, you played here before, but did you know anybody?
So the way we came up here was interesting, and I say we, I'm including my family in this. So my mom and my dad moved up here, I want to say around 2014.
Okay.
She needed to change the scene. She had a really good job offer up here, and so she brought her and my dad and my sisters up here. So at least I had family I could have, crashed with. But in terms of the folks in the scene, again, the only people I knew up here at that time were Michael from the Central Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
He used to book these at Sunrise a lot. It's funny, I played Central Saloon in one of my groups a couple weeks ago. Michael's like, I've seen you somewhere before. I'm like, yeah, I used to play here a lot. He's like, wait, that big ass tour bus? I'm like, yes. I'm that kid.
You're that kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are the Seattle musicians? Were they welcoming?
They're very well. You know what? For as much as I heard about the Seattle Freeze, I had no issue making friends up here. The musicianship, and that was the thing I really am. As much as I hated my timing coming here with COVID happening right afterwards, the musicians here have been so welcoming. Like, I would not have the opportunities I have these days if it weren't for the people that I've met up here. Like, and I don't think, as supportive as the music scene is here and the people who love music go out to see live music, I don't think there's enough people that know about it, because I feel like every time I run into somebody and I'm like, oh, do you know, like talking about my friends Lila Fonda, two twin sisters that I love their songs a lot, but what I love more is the fact that, like, I love families that can work together to make something like that work, and seeing those two on stage do their thing, you can tell the love between them is super real. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could get my sisters to play in the band with me, but it would not look like that. We more like the Robertson brothers throwing hands on stage. But yeah, the scene up here has been far more kind than I was expecting it to be. Not just Seattle. The folks in Everett have been kind as well. Folks abroad, not abroad, but like beyond even Everett have been super welcoming. People just want to support dope things, and I don't know. It's just I don't feel like there's a lot of competition here with everyone. Everybody's competition here is with themselves and what they can do next. If that makes sense.
It does. We're all very competitive, but we're not going to necessarily stab you in the back to get ahead. We're going to just practice harder so we're better than you.
Right.
Which we're going to rise to our level of our abilities.
Right.
Versus,
And that's another thing too, is that like now I'm talking to you realizing I have a lot of folks here. I feel like in any other context, they would not speak to me. Like person that was on The Voice, Paige Turner, another kick-ass guitar player and a very amazing singer. I remember we played a show together, and I remember, again, like we've talked about it before, I'm not the most confident when it comes to my voice, but the fact that I was booked on the bill with her and my friends in La Fonda, I was like, are y'all sure about this? And they're like, yeah, man, you'd be a great fit. And I'm like, thank you. And also freaking out because everyone on that bill could sing their ass off, and I'm just sitting here like, I can play guitar solos. I'll do that for an hour.
So when you got to Seattle, where were some of the first places you started going out to see the music scene? Now, you probably had a very brief period of time before you couldn't go out. So
yeah,
typical question I ask a musician is this, and you might not have as big a pool, you might, but is, where's the coolest place you played in Washington as a performer that took care of you? In other words, like you're like, this is a venue for me as a musician. I like being here.
So this is gonna say a lot coming from me, knowing that a lot of venues end up being in bars, and I'm not someone that really typically enjoys bars. And people know that about me. I'm just extroverted on stage, very introverted off it. It's hard to think about the coolest because they've all been really dope. Like the folks at Numos, the one time that I've played there, they're very kind. I would say that's one of the cool venues I've played up here. And you're right, my pool isn't too big, but like, you know what? Let's go a little weirder. Let's say there's a house venue here in the University District called The Nook. I've played a show up there, and the folks that were running the show there were very kind. It was one of those situations where they had like a little room set up for all the artists to set up, and so I was just kind of holed up there until it was time for me to go do my set. But like people would come in and check and be like, hey man, you want anything? And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. You listen, just give me a glass of water and I'm fine. But they were like very on top of making sure that you were taken care of. So shout out to The Nook and independent venues like that. I do have one dream venue that I want to make into a thing that I don't know is a thing up here yet. Have you heard, and you probably have, the Wall of Death?
No.
Over in UW? Okay. So in the underpass in University Village, there is this like structure called the Wall of Death, sort of like those little motorcycle joints. And apparently it used to be like a really popular skating place, but you know, they had one accident and like a bunch of complaints, and so they've made it to where it's impossible to skate there now. I want to throw a show in there one day. Now I don't know who I need to get in contact with the city in regards to making that happen, but I want to make that happen.
Okay.
Trying to think of other venues that I really like.
Well, let's go at it from another angle as well. Where have you seen music that you like the venue as an audience member?
As an audience member, this is going to be me saying a lot too, because I don't see music very often. Usually because it's like you get up and you're like, I'm going to go do something today. And then you start having all those like logistical questions, like, where am I going to park? Am I going to be able to afford parking? Is my car going to be safe?
I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah. It is not the business. I would say I like catching shows at Cafe Racer these days.
Okay.
You know, Cafe Racer's fun. Another venue that I forgot to bring up earlier, the Crocodile.
The old one or the new one?
The new. So I've never been to the old one.
Okay, I'm into the new one.
The new one's fun. New one's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I've played a show with Acetone there. Then also went to a couple shows there as well. Conway the Machine was just in town. I went to go see that. I was like, man, this is a really dope venue. Took care of everybody. It's close by to. I can't say enough cool things about that stage, playing on it, and then the vibe that they bring about it.
Have you ever played or been to the Tractor in Ballard?
Yes, I've played the Tractor in Ballard. I haven't been there as a patron yet, but the staff there are really dope. I remember I came in and I had a million questions about parking, and I forget her name, but she was very kind. She's like, yeah, you can just come behind the building. You're parked there. Make sure you hurry up and get in here for sound check so that way you can go to Hattie's Hat.
Yep.
Next door. I like that little relationship they got with them right there. So that's always a lot of fun. Another place that's fun she shows at. Carnot Burn.
I've never been there, but you're like the third person to say that now.
Carnot Burn's a lot of fun, and I don't know what it is about me. Like, I've never played in a band that's less than 5 people.
Oh.
And so, like, the last band I played in there was Rub. They're like a 6-piece band. There's 2 drummers, there's keyboards, there's me being the force I am, and then there's 2 singers. And we're on this tiny stage that also shares the stage with a piano. And the piano sounds really good too. But yeah, no, it's a really cool venue. I like the area. And again, the staff. I have not had any complaints with staff here.
Okay.
And that's something I can't say for a lot of places that I've played at, but like everyone here has been pretty top notch.
So when I asked that question, well, I haven't asked you the third question of that. So where do you want to play in Washington State? You can play any venue now, anywhere in Washington State. Where would you want to play?
I'm going to get really close to the microphone. I want you to send this to whoever you need to send this to make it happen. I want to play the Kraken game.
The Kraken game?
The Kraken games over my Climate Pledge arena.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen those?
I have not.
So they've been having a lot of local bands play these shows. My friend Shayna's done it. My boys from Citrus have done it. Warren Dunes, another band y'all should go check out. Very sweet people. They've done a show there. Book me at a Seattle Kraken game, please. I beg of you. I will do whatever songs y'all want. It'll be a great time. I'll wear a custom jersey as well. I'll disavow my fanship of the Dallas Stars. I'll pay y'all to do it. I don't really care. I just want to do it. I want to be playing a guitar solo while there's a fight happening on the rink. That's something I need in my life. And I feel like you know the right people to make that happen. And if you don't, someone listening to this podcast will. So please and thank you.
I have somebody I can reach out to start that conversation. They won't be the right person, but they probably will know the right people. Yeah. So I will do that because I've never been to a hockey game.
They're fun.
And the look, if this is an audio only format, but folks, if you just saw his face, he was really excited. I want to go to a Kraken game. And that may be one of the only things that gets me to come to the Seattle area during winter because I don't like to go across the mountains when it snows. But that would get me over here. And I would really get me over here if you were playing. That would be very cool.
Yeah, no, that's the dream. Like, my thing has always been, you grow up as a kid watching all these folks play Madison Square Garden, watching everyone do that. So that's my thing. I'm like, I want Key Arena. I'm not calling it Climate Pledge. I want Key Arena. I want Lumen. I want the Tacoma Dome.
No, you don't.
I kind of want to play Tacoma Dome.
No, you don't.
Why not?
This doesn't sound good.
Huh?
It's not a good sounding venue.
I've
seen lots of shows in there. Lots.
Yeah.
And maybe with sound technology is improving. And it's a cool building.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it can be a setup like in Dallas, we played right before a Dallas Stars game, and we played outside of the American Airlines Center.
Okay.
Maybe it can be one of those joints.
Okay.
So I can lie on my little show resume and be like, I have played American Airlines Arena. It's in the park outside.
Right. Okay.
It could be one of those joints.
Right. And I touched the building while I was playing a guitar solo, so I played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I tell people that all the time. Like, yo, my face was where Dirk Nowitzki held up the championship that he won for Dallas. Like, that counts. I have that pitch. I am going to get that framed one day. That was my proudest moment as a young man. I had, like, there's pictures of that celebration joint, and so there's a picture of me playing a solo on the jumbotron on the joint, and like off to the right you see Dirk with the championship in his hand. I'm like, man, that really happened, and I don't talk about that often enough.
There we are talking about basketball in a town that I'm just kidding.
Listen, hey, they're gonna come back, but again, y'all dodged a bullet with Kevin Durant.
But I don't.
I promise.
I want a team to come back, but I don't want to take somebody else's team. I don't
take Sacramento.
No, I don't want to, because they're
not doing anything in Sacramento.
No.
Okay.
But there's people there that still want that team, and it's not fair to them that it's out of their control. Just like it wasn't fair to the city of Seattle that the owner of the team sold to a guy who said he wasn't going to move him, and then that's where it was really doubly painful. Local ownership sold it. The perception was not a lot of effort was made to sell it to another local owner, because there was a guy here in quote unquote town who ended up buying the Clippers, so he could have bought the Sonics.
You know what's terrible? Y'all almost got the Sonics back before Kawhi Leonard went to Los Angeles. If Kawhi Leonard doesn't go to the Clippers, good chance Steve Ballmer brings the Clippers to Seattle.
So it was just a really unfortunate, slow moving car accident.
Yeah.
And I just don't wish that on another community either.
I understand.
I really don't.
No one's going to Sacramento games though.
Yeah, but are they providing a compelling reason to go?
No.
Then that's on the ownership. See,
and that's what I'm saying.
If the ownership gives you a compelling reason and fans don't go, then I might feel differently. But if the ownership's just calling me up to say, hey, can you come and play, fat forward? Because that's what they'd have to call me. No.
Yeah, no, and like Sacramento's a cool town, but like,
But anyway.
They haven't been relevant since
Vlade Divac
for a long time.
Right.
I've been a fan for a while, and I have not cared about the Kings since Chris Webber.
Okay. All right. Before we hit record today,
nice.
You mentioned you have a little blue book that you're holding in your hand with great enthusiasm, and it's doesn't have any stamps in it yet.
Yet.
So you're going to go on tour. Who are you going on tour with?
I want to back up and say to everyone listening to this, I know I'm talking to myself talking about myself a lot, and it sounds very braggadocious. I appreciate y'all for listening this far, first of all. Second of all, I apologize in advance, but also third, let me have this. It has been a very long 3 years. So I'm going on tour with a band called Acetone, and we are going all over the European Union, so UK, France, Germany, Czech Republic, Italy, a few other places I can't readily pronounce right now. So I'm
laughing because my daughter lives in Austria and I can't pronounce half of the. So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
No, I
so Acetone, what genre, what style? I'm not familiar here.
They are a grunge rock group here in Seattle, based around the duo Guy Keltner and Ian. I forget Ian's last name, but
you're going on tour with a guy you can't remember. So I'm giving you a hard time, man.
I know. Listen. I know too many musicians. You asked me about my favorite guitar players earlier. I was thinking about all the people I play with up here, and I'm like, damn, I can't think of any of these dudes' names. I just saw them last night. But nah. Yeah, so they are very popular in the scene. A lot of folks love their music. I got recruited by Craigslist from them. Once again, Craigslist saves the day.
Craigslist.
Yes. I put out an ad. I think got shared around the Seattle scene a little bit. A guy hit me up, was like, hey man, I'm looking for someone to play guitar. We got like a revolving cast of people. They're like the Globetrotters of music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like if guy's about to go on tour and, you know, do stuff in New York, he's got his New York crew. Same thing down south. He's got his down south crew. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, we're doing all that in Mexico in October.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Oh, you asked what kind of music they made. I'm sorry. So like a lot of garage rock, but some soulful stuff, some very punk stuff, a lot of just rock and roll.
Okay.
And I mean that. I feel like that phrase is played out. These dudes bring the attitude. So it's a good time, and you know, I like guys' approach to things where he's very much like, we're gonna put on a good show, but we're also gonna kick you in the teeth. You know, it's gonna be something you're not gonna be able to have your back up against the wall and chilling out to. You're gonna come party with us or not, or else.
Okay. All right. And so that's in October?
No, it's in September.
September.
So I leave September 1st, and then we come back October 3rd.
So you got a month in Europe?
A month in Europe. I'm gonna eat so much food.
Where are you excited about going in Europe? Have you been? You haven't been to Europe?
I've
before.
never been to Europe.
Okay.
So
where do you want to go?
I want to go everywhere. Like, I'm trying not to name the obvious places.
No, it's you. It's where do you want to go? Even if it's obvious, it's okay.
I have to see Abbey Road. I have to see Abbey Road. If nothing else,
okay,
I have to walk.
That's obvious.
Yeah, no. It's very obvious. I want to go there. There's also a very well-known basketball court that's supported by the Jordan brand in France.
Okay,
that's very beautiful. See, that's the issue with me being a musician and a former basketball fan, or not former, recovering. If my knees will ever cooperate, I'm gonna be back out there one day. But nah, there's some courts I want to go see and possibly play at.
Okay.
There's some in Italy that I hear that are super close to the water where they play a little bit of street ball. I want to see what that's like.
Okay.
Definitely want to go see the Eiffel Tower. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Well, let me interrupt you and let's go back to Abbey Road.
Yeah.
So you want to walk across the street? I totally get that, and you should.
Yes.
Are you going to try to go into the studio and check it out?
No, because I might not come back to the country if that happens.
So, are you familiar with a guy here in the Seattle area? His name is Jesse Butterworth.
I am not.
He plays in a band called the West Coast Feed.
That name sounds familiar.
Okay. So Jesse recorded his first solo album in Abbey Road Studios. And he was on the show before, right?
Okay.
And they literally got back the day or 2 days before the COVID lockdown. Yeah. So he's describing the studio, though. And basically, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but something along the lines of this.
Yeah.
Can you bring out the piano that Paul played on Let It Be so that I can use it on this track? And they would literally, it's like, I got the feeling like you probably won't, you're too young to remember this, but do you remember what automats were like when you went to a restaurant? You could push a button and the food would come out, basically like an old school vending machine type thing, right?
I've not. No.
Okay, so anyway, I got the vision. It was like, 2B, here's Ringo's drum kit comes out, that he played.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was describing this and I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I could concentrate. So they're bringing out the microphones that Frank Sinatra had sung in, and I'm sitting here going, could you imagine going
a menu of gear that you want to use by people that you hold in high regard?
Yeah. Like how can I'm not saying anything, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a musician at all, right? I can't even hold this cheap microphone well. But can you imagine? Oh, here's George's guitar that he played the solo on any song, and you're like,
nothing's getting done that day. I'm just playing guitars. I'm playing guitars the whole day. I'm playing drums. I'm doing everything but recording an album.
right? or would you get what I would do? This is, but I'd be like that going, oh, can we bring out? Hey, is Alan Parsons around anywhere? Can he like mix some tape for us?
Oh my gosh!
You know, all these things like where was David Gilmour?
Right.
You know, my brain would be like, bah, but then I'd be like, I'm not worthy to hold this instrument. And I'd just freak out. I would just totally get in my head and just go, I'm done. I'm out. See you.
Man, that would be before that.
Right before
Timing.
So he went back. He's recorded his second album there.
Okay.
He just went back, recorded his second album there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, local guy, nice guy, super nice guy.
I gotta get in contact with him. I want to hear some of his stories.
Yeah, no, Jesse's a very, very cool guy. But this episode's about you, not him. So, when you come back from Europe and Mexico, what's on the horizon? Anything? I mean, we're forecasting out a few months now, but
All right. So I'm gonna preface this with this. Y'all let me brag about everything I'm doing. So now we're gonna get into the other side of things, just in full transparency, because I feel like folks need to hear what musicians can go through when it comes to that. So I got to find, I've been here a couple months. I got to find another place to stay.
mm-hmm.
So it's this weird dichotomy. I'm going to go overseas and live out my dream and then come back here essentially being homeless.
Got it.
And not due to anything I've done. Paid everything on time, just things not working out, right? So probably going to end up looking for places to stay, playing a few solo shows here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, everyone that I play with, we're gonna have a busy October. A band I play bass in, Rub, we're gonna be releasing hopefully some EPs around that time. Same thing with the band Lindstrom and the Limit, another band I play bass for. We should be releasing some things around that time as well. Hopefully, another band I play in, for Valentine, we're going to be doing some recording with them as well. And honestly, I'm trying to focus on stuff that I'm doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like a collection of songs that I've been playing a lot over the last year. Again, thank you to everyone that's booked me the last few months, because it's been pretty eye-opening, the possibilities that I have and what people are willing to do, and that's been a godsend lately. So I'm hopefully going to try and make out some studio time for myself, put out a couple demos and see how that goes. But outside of a few festivals like Freakout Fest, not a whole lot going on this fall.
Okay, so you got to come back and deal with housing and all that's unfortunate.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like people kind of poo-poo what we do because a lot of what we do is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
But just reminders that everyone's fighting their own battles. So think twice before you're out here being disparaging about anything. Just know that we're humans just like everyone else. And everyone's kind of got their own baggage, so just
we never know what somebody else's journey is.
Yeah,
you never know. I
never.
I totally get that. All right, so very important question. I can't remember if I asked you this question in the pre-interview. Do you drink coffee?
I will say yes. My friends will say he drinks hot chocolate. And I'll tell you what, I like a good mocha, but I don't want anything that you see that big old thing of Frosty over there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like any of the coffee that's in it, but you know what I love? I love the chocolatiness. I love the sweetness. Those are the things I like in a coffee.
So your friends are right, by the way. You drink chocolate.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I own it.
Okay.
I like things that taste good. I don't.
All right. So where are you going to get these pseudo coffee beverages? Where's a good place?
Where's a good place? Okay. Ooh. Okay. So there's a place in West Seattle, kind of West Seattle / White Center, called the Birdhouse, and you'll find that a lot of things with me are mainly because I just like it and the staff are dope. So this is one of those situations where I love all the staff at the Birdhouse. Every time I go there, they're very kind. Me and my girlfriend get sandwiches there all the time. Really good coffee out there.
You're the second person on the show to say that place.
Oh,
So
who else at that? You know?
Fran.
Nice.
Yeah, Fran Dunaway. She's the co-founder of Tomboy X,
Okay.
and she and her partner love that place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and they basically say the same thing you're saying, which is the staff is kind, nice, and all of that.
Yeah,
That goes a long way.
it does go a long way because my thing is the experience for me is what counts when it comes to a lot of places I go to. So like if you were to ask me about Starbucks, I'd be like, meh, don't have a lot of good memories of Starbucks. Not a knock. Low key a knock. I know what happened with y'all and the Supersonics. I've not forgotten.
He went there.
No, hey, no, listen, I have not willingly drunk Starbucks in many moons. And again, this is a Texan speaking. I'm speaking in solidarity. So, another place that I really like, this is really cute shop in Edmonds. Oh, I'm blanking on the name. I'm going to see if I can try and look it up.
We're at in Edmonds. Downtown?
Not downtown. So it's like in this weird little. I know. I remember the place. It's like in this little like pocket in Edmonds. That's kind of weird. Where it's like amongst the trees, but almost like on the way to the water. I'm blanking on the name. It's very cute. It's right across the street from Fat Pig Barbecue. If y'all know the area, please. I want to say it's Mia's Cafe. It's also a pastry place.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, they're very sweet up there. They have Nutella coffee there. Again, it's the reason why I like it.
Okay. All right.
None of the coffee, just all the sweet shit.
Okay, cool. I always ask guests, where's a good place to get lunch around you? So
Around me.
yeah, around you. So where's a good lunch spot? I mean, you're sitting in an area with lots of choices.
How much time you got? Okay, so this place is unfortunately closing. They're still going to be open, I think, for the rest of this month. Called East Lake Bar and Grill. Ooh, really good sandwiches there. Whenever you go there, go say hi to my friend Bob. Bob is also the drummer of Rub, and he is one of the sweetest men that I've had the pleasure of playing with. So go tip him a lot of money because I can't afford to right now. That's a really good place to eat. Vision or views out there are really pretty as well. The Lunchbox Lab.
Lunchbox Laboratory?
Yeah.
Yep.
Down the road, also really good. Also in the same area, walking distance, the Otter Bar and Grill. They have a burger there called Lisa's Hot Mess that has a peanut butter spread involved. Really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Peanut butter and bacon. I think that's like two things that make me happy.
Add coffee and it's perfect.
And, well, again, I call it coffee. Y'all call it chocolate milk. It's okay. Some of us enjoy the finer things in life. It's fine.
All right. As we wrap this up, what didn't I ask you? Because we could just keep going on. These conversations always keep going.
This is low key very therapeutic, and I don't have anywhere to be until like 3 today. So please fire away. Well, I want this to be the longest podcast you have.
No, because I've had a 3-hour one, and I'll tell you what, I'm not equipped for that today.
I feel you.
I am not equipped for. But what didn't I ask you? What didn't we cover that we should absolutely talk about?
I feel like I don't know. There's a lot that I want to talk about. See, that's the issue with being someone that doesn't talk a ton. Well, I'll pull back. I talk a lot. I don't say a lot though. I don't say usually what I want to. There's a lot of self-filtering you gotta do.
Well, say what you want.
man, nah, don't do that. We'll be here and you'll have a cease and desist from somebody quick, fast, and in a hurry. One of the things that I have been dealing with a bit lately is being, I don't know, trying to navigate being an artist in this time of social media.
Okay.
And how I'm kind of tired of people treating it like it's a chore.
Social media is a chore?
Yeah.
Well, it is because okay, if you pay attention to what you're supposed to do on social media, post. It's a grind. But are you putting out anything of consequence?
That's the thing. I feel like a lot of folks, and this is gonna be the overarching thing of how I feel art has gone. There's too many folks playing the game of copycat. We all are not being as creative as we can be. And you know what? It's because people got lives, people got things they need to do. People are not being as creative as they can be when it comes to their art, when it comes to what we can do to promote what we're doing. Because
Okay.
I get really tired of seeing the same post on my feed every day. Like, we're all musicians here. We're all, hey, come out to my show. Okay, what else? I got a million other people sending me the same post talking about that they got a show to play. And I think in general, I feel like I was just not the scene and not just musicians in general. I just wish people were able to explore things more, It's just, kind of sad because I teach at Meter Music School and I teach a lot of kids. And the thing that I tell them is I want them to explore their instrument as much as they're practicing what I give them. No one ever does it though. Same with some of the adults. I'm just like, hey, I know you don't have a lot of time, but like, find something fun about the instrument that you like and use that to practice. And it never happens. I don't know. I wish the world was more allowed to be a little more creative about what they like doing,
Well, this could go down. I mean, you're right. We could be talking for hours on this because I've got thoughts.
That's why I've told you to put the brakes on me, son.
I guess I have thoughts on this too. But I think one of the things, and whether it be a musician sharing out their show, and then the next show, and then the next show, and then buy my merch, or a sports team saying, come to the ballpark, come to the stadium, come to the ice rink, buy our merch, or a marketer just marketing, widgets, saying buy my widget. Any of the platforms, they all have this like FOMO. You keep scrolling because you're afraid you're going to miss the nugget, the needle in the haystack.
Right.
And so you keep being subjected to all this fodder that's not particularly well thought out because you keep hoping you're going to, find that proverbial, unicorn. And I think if you're a creative, if you could shut that off and just be creative, in other words, sit in your room with your guitar and fiddle, and 99.9% is going to suck. Let's be honest. It's not going to be good. And that would be George Harrison, or that would be you. It'd be anybody. But how do you get to that 1/10 of 1% that's amazing is by getting through the other 99. And if you don't pick up the guitar very often, or whatever your instrument is, you don't pick up the paintbrush, you don't write, you don't, whatever it is. If you don't practice, you're not going to capture excellence. You're just not.
Right.
And I think we're also, we're looking at what everybody else is doing, and then we're not doing. And then we wonder why they're ahead of us, even because the algorithms are wired to show us stuff that makes people, because people can look very successful and not be. You can be a very thin veneer in all areas. And everybody's got problems, no matter if you're, the wealthiest person in the world or the homeless guy underneath a bridge somewhere. We all have problems. So my advice would be shut all those channels off and just practice your craft.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, how do you meet people to practice your craft with?
How do I do?
No, what I'm saying is,
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, how do you know there's a show to go down the street to go see if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the venues? So, anyway.
Right, for sure.
So, I don't know.
Another thing I want to say, and this is very peak arrogant Shaun here. This is 100% a message to my students, because here pretty soon won't be teaching anymore, be too busy on the road to do so. I want people to start looking at folks' actions a little more, because I feel like too often we're judging by the book of the cover when it comes to how we treat folks, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I remember getting over here in music, and I remember one of the first acts I played with, they were very much like, oh, we have this, look we go for and everything, yada yada. And I remember showing up to one of our first shows, and they're like, "You gonna wear that?" And I'm like, "I'm about to play the hell of the show, and you're worried about how I look." Don't worry about how I look. Worry about how I play. And like, we got a standing O that night, and I played like the devil that night.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's just all I'm saying is this: you're gonna see a lot of well-dressed folk that dress that well just so they can sell you a bunch of lies. So don't be looking too hard at the way someone looks when it comes to what they're doing, because you're gonna miss out on a lot of hidden gems that way if you're just surface level with things.
I'm going to stop you because I think that may be the best ending of any of my episodes.
Oh.
So, I'm going to extend an invitation that we do this again when you come back from Europe.
Yes.
Okay. So, Shaun, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to hearing the European tour escapades.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have to get on Snapchat because I'm going to send you all the things.
Okay.
All the pictures.
Perfect.
And also, I'm going to have before I forget, I don't want to forget my friends in Edmonds. It's Mia and Mel's.
Mia and Mel's.
Yes.
Okay.
The only reason why I bring that up because they're like one of the first companies I hung out a lot up here, and I'm always going to ride for my mom and pop shops. Sweet people, even sweeter coffees.
Okay. Last thing, where can people find you online?
I am everywhere online. You can find me on Facebook under Shaun Crawford. I am on Instagram as well under Shaun Crawford. You can see my logo. It's in black and white. It's a guitar, a hair pick, and a heart. It tells you everything you need to know about me. I'm also on YouTube, SoundCloud. I know a lot of people have been seeing my solo sets and have been asking, hey, when are you going to have stuff up on Spotify? I'm doing all this myself at the moment, so it's going to be a minute, but I'm trying to get the ball rolling for the winter time for that to happen. And don't follow me on Twitter. That's where I talk up a lot of mess, and y'all might not like me after you follow my Twitter, so don't try and find me on there.
All right. Shaun, thank you.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.